I was working the night shift at the Grand Regency Hotel, one of the most luxurious and discreet hotels in the city, a place where celebrities, politicians, and wealthy businessmen came to escape their public lives and indulge in private affairs without anyone asking questions. It was a job I had taken to pay my way through college, a job that I had never expected to be exciting or eventful, a job that mostly involved checking in guests, answering phones, and pretending not to notice the people who came in with someone who was clearly not their spouse. I had been working there for 3 years, and I had seen everything: married men with mistresses, wealthy women with young lovers, and business executives with secret girlfriends who were never introduced to their wives. I had learned to keep my mouth shut, to look the other way, and to pretend that I didn't see the wedding rings that were slipped off before they walked through the door. It wasn't my business, and I didn't care because I wasn't there to judge anyone. I was just there to do my job and collect my paycheck. But one Friday night, a woman walked into the hotel and changed everything because she wasn't like the other guests who came in with secrets. She was calm, composed, and completely in control. And something about her made me pay attention, made me feel like I was about to witness something that would stay with me for the rest of my life. She was dressed elegantly, expensively, and she walked up to my desk with a confident stride and a cold smile that sent a shiver down my spine. She placed a credit card on the counter, gave me a name that I recognized immediately because it was a name I had seen on the news and in business magazines. And she said, "I need a room for a few hours. Please check me in under this name and please call me by this alias." I typed the name into the system, handed her the key, and watched her walk toward the elevator without ever looking back. I didn't think much about the woman at first, because I had seen plenty of wealthy women book rooms for secret meetings, assuming that they were just another guest who wanted privacy and discretion. I went back to my routine, checking in other guests, answering calls, and pretending not to notice the comings and goings of people who had more money than they knew what to do with. But then, about 20 minutes after the woman had checked in, a man walked through the hotel lobby, a man who was also familiar to me because I had seen him on television, in business magazines, and on the front page of the newspaper when he had been named CEO of one of the largest companies in the country. He walked up to my desk with an impatient expression and said, "I'm here to meet someone. She's in room 412. Can you give me an extra key?" I felt my stomach drop because I realized immediately what was happening. The woman who had checked in 20 minutes earlier wasn't a woman having a secret meeting with another man. She was a woman who had set a trap for her husband, and the man standing in front of me was her husband. I handed him a key with trembling hands, and he walked straight toward the elevator, completely unaware that he was walking into a trap that his wife had been planning for weeks. I watched the elevator doors close behind him, and I felt my heart pounding because I knew that I was about to witness something terrible and unforgettable, something that would change the lives of everyone involved. I waited in the lobby, unable to focus on anything except what was happening in room 412, wondering what was going on, what had happened when the man had walked through the door expecting to meet his mistress and instead found his wife sitting on the bed with a calm expression and a cold smile. I imagined the shock, the horror, the complete devastation that had washed over him when he realized that he had been caught, that his wife knew everything, and that he had been walking into a trap that she had set with surgical precision. 15 minutes later, the elevator doors opened, and the woman walked out, still calm, still composed, still completely in control, and she walked straight to the front desk, handed me both keys, and said, "Thank you for your help. I won't be needing the room anymore." She didn't look upset, didn't look angry, didn't look like she had just confronted her cheating husband and exposed his lies. She just looked relieved, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders, and she walked out of the hotel without ever looking back. A few minutes later, the man walked out of the elevator, but he wasn't calm or composed. He was pale, shaking, and completely devastated, and he looked like he had just seen his entire life collapse around him. He didn't say a word to me, just walked out of the hotel with his head down. And I never saw him again because the woman had done exactly what she had set out to do. She had destroyed him without ever raising her voice. I found out weeks later what had actually happened in that hotel room, and the story was even more devastating and satisfying than I had imagined. The woman had discovered months earlier that her husband was having an affair with a younger woman, a mistress who was demanding money and expensive gifts and a life that she didn't deserve. Instead of confronting her husband immediately, the woman had done something far more strategic. She had hired a private investigator. She had gathered evidence of the affair, and she had tracked down the mistress's identity and communication patterns. When the husband had told his mistress to meet him at a hotel, the wife had intercepted the message, changed the arrangements, and booked a room in her own name. She had also taken his credit card on a shopping spree before he realized she knew. And she had already contacted the best divorce lawyer in the city. When he walked into that hotel room expecting his mistress, he found his wife, who calmly said, "I know everything. I've been watching you, and by the way, the house you wanted to keep, it's already sold. Your credit cards are frozen. And your business partners know about the affair. You have nothing left." He had tried to apologize, tried to explain, tried to beg for forgiveness, but she didn't give him a chance to say anything. She just handed him the keys to the room, stood up, and walked out. The man lost everything: his wife, his house, his credit cards, his reputation, and eventually his business partners, who had learned about the affair and decided that they couldn't trust a man who was willing to betray his wife so completely. His mistress left him the moment she realized that he was bankrupt and couldn't give her the lifestyle she had been demanding. And he was left completely alone with nothing but his regrets and his shame. The woman, on the other hand, walked away with everything: the house, the money, the respect of everyone who knew her, and the knowledge that she had completely destroyed a man who had tried to destroy her. She hired the best divorce lawyer in the city, and she made sure that he got absolutely nothing from the divorce because she had all the evidence. She needed to prove his infidelity and his financial misconduct. She didn't need his money, didn't need his love, and didn't need his presence in her life anymore. She just needed him to know that she had one, that she had outsmarted him, and that he had underestimated her completely. I saw her a few years later, walking into the same hotel with a new husband who clearly adored her, and she looked happier and more peaceful than I had ever seen her. Like she had finally found the love and respect that her ex-husband had never given her. She didn't look like a woman who had been destroyed by betrayal. She looked like a woman who had reclaimed her power and rebuilt her life on her own terms. I often think about that night, about the woman who walked into the hotel with a cold smile and a plan that she had been perfecting for months. And I realized that she taught me something important about betrayal and revenge and the power of patience and strategy. She didn't scream or cry or make a scene. She just waited, watched, planned, and then struck at exactly the right moment with surgical precision. She didn't need to raise her voice or cause a public scene because she knew that the best revenge is not loud, messy, or dramatic. It's quiet, strategic, and devastating in its finality. I learned from her that the most powerful way to confront someone who has betrayed you is to let them walk into a trap that they don't even know exists, and then watch them fall apart as they realize everything they've lost. She didn't need to shout or humiliate him in public. She just exposed his lies in the most private and devastating way possible. And that was more humiliating than any public scene could ever have been. Today, I work at a different hotel, and I still see the same kinds of guests coming in with their secret affairs and their hidden lies. And I always think about the woman who taught me that sometimes the best revenge is not about getting even. It's about getting ahead, about reclaiming your power, and about walking away with your head held high while the person who betrayed you is left with nothing but their regrets. I haven't seen her since that night, but I think about her often, and I hope she's happy. I hope she's thriving. And I hope she knows that her revenge was perfect, not because it destroyed her husband, but because it saved herself. The best revenge is not loud, messy, or dramatic. It's quiet, strategic, and devastating in its finality. You don't need to shout or humiliate someone in public. You just need to expose their lies in the most private and devastating way possible, and then walk away with your head held high while they are left with nothing but their regrets.